If you walked into your kitchen right now, would you find a quiet, bare spot on the counter? That empty space might be silently working against you, letting prosperity slip away, letting harmony fade without you even realizing it. In homes across America, the kitchen is more than a place to cook. It's where the day begins, where conversations unfold over morning coffee, where bills get paid at the counter, and where so many decisions, both big and small, are made. It's the heart of the home, and like any heart, the energy that flows through it shapes everything else. What you place here matters more than most people think, and one simple change could set off a ripple you feel in your bank account, in your relationships, and in the way your home feels the moment you walk through the door. Imagine setting down a plate of fresh fruit, not just any fruit, but one chosen for its ability to act like a magnet for wealth and emotional warmth. It's not magic in the fairy tale sense, but the way it works can feel almost magical. A pop of color that brightens the space, a natural scent that lifts the mood, a visual reminder of abundance that nudges your mind and your family toward a lighter, more open way of being. People who try this often notice something subtle but powerful. Money conversations become less tense, small disagreements lose their sharp edges, and there's a softness in the air that makes the whole house feel more welcoming. And the best part, you don't need to buy anything rare or exotic. Chances are, the fruit you need is already at your local grocery store. The real secret isn't in finding it, it's in where you place it and how you let it work for you. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which fruit can flood your life with prosperity and harmony, and how to set it in your kitchen, so the benefits start the moment it touches the counter. Part 1. Ancestral Secret, turning the kitchen into a treasure vault. The kitchen is not just where meals are made, it's where life happens. Think about it. This is the space you walk into first thing in the morning, still carrying the weight of yesterday's thoughts, and the place you return to at the end of the day when the world outside has taken its toll. It's where coffee brews as sunlight creeps across the counter, where kids talk about their day while dinner simmers, where couples have those important, quiet conversations over late-night tea. It's where birthdays are celebrated with cake on the table, and where tears are wiped away over a steaming mug of soup. This space doesn't just feed the body, it feeds the spirit of the entire household. And because it holds such an important role, what lives in this space has a way of influencing what lives in you. For generations, people have known that certain choices in the kitchen, what you display, where you place things, affect more than just the look of the room. They shape the energy that flows through it, energy that can either open the door to abundance or quietly close it. The truth is, your kitchen is like a vault, not the kind with steel walls and a combination lock, but one made of small daily habits and subtle visual cues. And just like a vault can either hold treasure or sit empty, your kitchen can either store and multiply good fortune or let it slip away. The surprising part is that one of the most powerful keys to unlocking that vault isn't complicated, expensive, or hidden away in some specialty store. It's a piece of fruit. A single, fresh, vibrant fruit, chosen with care and placed in the right spot, can act as a silent magnet for prosperity and peace. This isn't superstition. It's psychology. It's the subtle power of environment shaping behavior and emotion. Walk into a kitchen with a plate of colorful, fresh fruit in plain sight, and your brain registers plenty. The home feels alive, well cared for, and abundant. That image reinforces a mindset of enough. Enough to share, enough to save, enough to enjoy, which in turn influences how you approach your finances, your conversations, and your relationships. On the flip side, a bare counter, or worse, one cluttered with unpaid bills, random junk mail, or yesterday's takeout containers, sends the opposite signal. Scarcity, neglect, disconnection. It's a small detail with a surprisingly large ripple effect. In many American homes, the kitchen counter is the landing spot for life. It catches the groceries, the backpacks, the car keys, the stress. Over time, this space can either become a place that constantly reminds you of chaos and things left undone, or it can become a carefully set stage that quietly encourages balance and abundance. And the simplest, most effective way to start that shift: replace whatever's been sitting there with a bowl of fresh fruit that radiates life. The reason fruit works so well is because it speaks a universal visual language. A pile of bright oranges signals warmth and vitality. Shiny red apples whisper comfort and good health. A cluster of grapes suggests togetherness and plenty. Even if you've never thought about it consciously, your mind links these images to moments of joy, generosity, and shared meals. When those associations are reinforced daily, every time you walk into the kitchen, they begin to influence the way you think and feel. You start expecting good things. You start treating money as something that flows in and out rather than something to guard in fear. You start engaging with family in ways that feel lighter, less defensive. And yes, these shifts often lead to real-world changes. More opportunities noticed and acted on, fewer heated arguments, better overall atmosphere. The key is intentional placement. You can't just toss a piece of fruit anywhere and expect miracles. The kitchen, as the heart of the home, has certain golden spots where energy, both in the practical and emotional sense, naturally gathers. Your dining table, the center island, or a high, uncluttered counter that everyone walks past daily. These are prime locations. They are visual focal points, and whatever sits there becomes part of the story your home tells about itself. Place your fruit there and it becomes a centerpiece of abundance. Hide it in a dark corner, and its effect all but disappears. Another important detail: the container you use. A rough, natural woven basket or a smooth ceramic bowl carries a softness that supports the feeling of warmth and stability. Metal, by contrast, often feels cold, industrial, and impersonal, not the tone you want for a space that's meant to nurture. Even the number of fruits matters. Odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, feel dynamic and lively, while even numbers tend to feel static. You're aiming for movement, for a sense that life here is constantly growing and renewing. And then there's freshness. Nothing kills the feeling of abundance faster than seeing fruit shriveled or molding in its bowl. The act of replacing fruit weekly, wiping the bowl clean, and arranging it with care is more than just upkeep. It's a ritual, a way of signaling to yourself and your family: we have enough, and we take care of what we have. This simple act, repeated over time, builds a quiet confidence in the stability and generosity of your home. That's the essence of turning your kitchen into a treasure vault. You're not just storing food, you're storing and displaying symbols of prosperity and care. Every time you walk past that bowl, every time a guest catches sight of it, you're reinforcing the story that this is a place where life is full, where there's always something to offer, where wealth, both financial and emotional, is not just hoped for but expected. And when you start living in alignment with that story, your actions and opportunities often start to align with it too. It's a small shift with the power to change the way your entire home feels, and by extension, the way you live inside it. Part 2, the 6 wealth magnet fruits. If you've ever walked into a kitchen and instantly felt a sense of warmth, welcome, and this is a good place to be, chances are it wasn't because of the paint on the walls or the brand of the appliances. It was because of what was alive and visible in the space. Fresh fruit does something almost nothing else can. It sends a signal of plenty. But not all fruit speaks the same language. Some radiate joy and invite connection. Others suggest growth and long-term stability. And a few have an almost magnetic pull toward prosperity. Today, we're going to talk about 6 of them, fruits that can turn your kitchen into a silent partner in building both wealth and harmony in your life. First are oranges and tangerines. There's a reason a bowl of them looks so inviting. The rich orange-gold color mirrors the glow of sunlight and the shimmer of precious metals. That warmth isn't just pretty. It's a visual shorthand for optimism, health, and financial success. Their scent is equally powerful. A fresh, citrus aroma cuts through heaviness in the air, lightens your mood, and subtly encourages more open, positive interactions. In practical terms, placing a cluster of oranges or tangerines in the center of your kitchen keeps the visual and sensory cues for abundance right where you can't miss them. Next are apples, both red and green. Red apples have a boldness to them. They suggest celebration, vitality, and good fortune. They have a way of making a space feel more alive, as if something good is always about to happen. Green apples offer a different gift, a sense of calm and renewal. Their crisp color and flavor evoke balance, making them especially valuable when stress is high. Together, red and green apples form a balanced picture, one half excitement and joy, the other half steadiness and peace. Keeping both colors visible in your kitchen is like having a visual reminder that real prosperity includes not just gain, but also the stability to enjoy it. Pomegranates might be the most symbolic fruit on this list. Slice one open and you'll see why. Hundreds of ruby-red seeds tightly packed inside, each a tiny, glistening jewel. That image speaks of a home full of opportunities, relationships, and resources. It's not just about having a lot. It's about richness that multiplies and is shared. In a kitchen, a few whole pomegranates on display communicate that this is a place where life is abundant and deeply rooted. They're especially powerful in times of transition, like starting a new business or growing a family, when you want to anchor the energy of growth and togetherness. Grapes bring their own unique message. A single stem carries dozens of small fruits, each perfect on its own, but even more beautiful as part of the cluster. They represent continuity, wealth and blessings flowing steadily, not in fits and starts. Green grapes carry a freshness that's perfect for new ventures and fresh starts. They bring an energy of possibility. Purple grapes, on the other hand, convey depth, stability, and maturity, ideal for reinforcing success you've already built. Together, they make your kitchen feel like a place where both new opportunities and lasting security are welcome. Bananas are perhaps the most quietly comforting fruit in this group. The way they grow, curved, nestled together in a bunch, looks like an embrace. Their gentle yellow suggests warmth without flashiness, the kind of wealth that feels safe and dependable rather than showy. In a kitchen, bananas project a feeling of being cared for and protected, which is a foundational piece of any kind of prosperity. They're a subtle but powerful reminder that true wealth isn't just about what you gain, it's about keeping what matters most close and safe. Finally, peaches. Their velvety skin, soft blush tones, and naturally sweet aroma carry a soothing, protective energy. They seem to soften the edges of tension and encourage empathy in the people who share the space. Peaches also have a way of freshening the energy in a room, making it feel lighter and more hopeful. In your kitchen, a few ripe peaches can set a tone of gentle abundance, a wealth of kindness, understanding, and goodwill that naturally supports every other kind of prosperity. These 6 fruits are more than snacks or decor. They are living symbols. Each one has a personality, a color language, and a scent story that works on you and your household in quiet but powerful ways. When you select them intentionally, keep them fresh, and place them where they can be seen and appreciated every day, you're doing more than decorating. You're curating the emotional and psychological climate of your home. The change is cumulative. Day after day, week after week, the sight, smell, and feel of these fruits work their way into your habits and your thinking. You may notice you linger in the kitchen more often, that family members pause to chat in front of the fruit bowl instead of rushing past, that conversations are warmer and easier. You may find yourself approaching decisions, financial or otherwise, with a little more optimism, a little more trust that there's enough to go around. That's the real power of these wealth magnet fruits. They don't just look appealing. They help you live in a way that invites and sustains the prosperity you're looking for. And unlike so many complicated strategies for success, this one doesn't require you to learn a new skill, spend hours of extra time, or make a dramatic lifestyle change. It's as simple as choosing the right fruit, placing it with intention, and letting it quietly do its work. The best part? You can start today. The next time you're in the produce aisle, let yourself choose not just with your appetite, but with your vision for your home. Picture the burst of orange from fresh tangerines, the jewel tones of pomegranates, the harmony of red and green apples, the freshness of green grapes and the elegance of purple ones, the comforting yellow of bananas and the soft pink glow of peaches. Bring them home, set them where the light finds them, and watch as your kitchen and the energy of your life begins to shift toward the abundant, harmonious future you've been wanting all along. Part 3, how to place them for prosperity to pour in. If you've ever rearranged a room and instantly felt a shift, lighter air, calmer mood, you already know that placement matters. In the kitchen, placement isn't just about where something looks nice. It's about where energy, attention, and intention naturally gather. When you're working with fruits chosen for their ability to draw in prosperity and harmony, where you set them can make the difference between a quiet background detail and a daily, visible magnet for abundance. Think of your kitchen as a stage. Certain spots are naturally in the spotlight. The center island, the dining table, a high, uncluttered counter that everyone passes multiple times a day. These are your prime real estate. A fruit display here doesn't just fill space, it commands attention, subtly reinforcing a message every time someone walks by. This home is alive, cared for, and full of good things. On the other hand, hiding your fruit in a dark corner or shoving it between the toaster and the mail pile strips away its impact. Visibility is non-negotiable. Your eyes should land on it without effort, just as they might on a bouquet of flowers in full bloom. The container matters more than most people realize. A woven basket or a smooth ceramic bowl feels warm and natural, inviting touch and conveying stability. These textures suggest care, grounding, and connection. Metal, by contrast, tends to feel cold and utilitarian. It's functional, but it doesn't invite the same emotional warmth. If your goal is to turn fruit into a symbol of wealth and welcome, choose materials that support that feeling. Numbers matter, too. Arranging fruit in odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, creates a sense of movement and openness, like a conversation that's still going. Even numbers feel more static, more finished. And in a space meant to attract growth, you want the suggestion that things are still expanding. A bowl with 3 perfect peaches can feel elegant and intentional. A display of 7 oranges feels generous and celebratory. Choose based on your space, but keep that odd number rhythm in mind. Light is another key player. Fruit thrives, visually and energetically, in gentle natural light. A spot that catches the morning sun can make colors glow, scents lift, and the whole display come alive. Harsh, direct light can make fruit spoil faster, while dim, shadowy spots make even the freshest produce look tired. Aim for a location with soft, consistent light, the kind that makes you want to linger there yourself. And then there's freshness. A single bruised or shriveled piece can turn an entire display from inspiring to depressing. Commit to a routine. Once a week, refresh the bowl, wipe it clean, and take a moment to arrange the fruit with care. This isn't busy work, it's a ritual, a weekly resetting of your home's abundance signal. It tells you, and anyone who lives with you, that wealth here is tended to, protected, and renewed. Placement also means paying attention to what's nearby. Avoid setting fruit next to clutter, dirty dishes, or anything that carries a leftover feeling. Keep it away from the sink, which represents constant draining, and from the stove when in use, where excess heat can spoil it quickly. Give it space to stand on its own, a small, dedicated zone that feels intentional. Done right, placement transforms your fruit from background decor into a living, daily reminder that your home is a place where prosperity gathers and stays. You're not just putting produce on the counter. You're making a statement every time someone walks into your kitchen. It's a statement that says, here, there is always enough. Here, life grows richer every day. And when that message is the one you and your family see and feel again and again, it has a way of becoming true in more ways than you might expect. Part 4, what to absolutely avoid. Nothing drains the feeling of abundance faster than small, overlooked mistakes. You can choose the most vibrant fruit, arrange it beautifully, and place it in the perfect spot. But if certain details are wrong, all that positive energy can quietly leak away. Think of it like leaving the door to your home cracked open on a cold night. Most of the warmth escapes without you realizing why. The first mistake is letting fruit go bad in plain sight. A single shriveled apple or a banana turning black at the edges changes the message from "this home is full of life" to "things here are neglected." Freshness isn't just about looks, it's about the energy you're inviting in. Spoiled fruit tells the subconscious that wealth and care are temporary, that you can't quite hold on to what you have. The fix is simple: check your display often, and replace anything past its prime immediately. Another misstep is filling your bowl with artificial fruit. While fake fruit might look perfect from a distance and last forever, it carries no life, no scent, no renewal. It becomes a static prop, and in a space meant to attract growth, stillness is the enemy. Real abundance is alive. It changes, it ripens, it gets replaced. Choosing real fruit, even if it means buying smaller quantities more often, keeps the message active and believable. Placement near the wrong elements can also sabotage your efforts. Keep fruit away from the sink, where water and waste flow constantly. Symbolically, that's abundance being washed away. Avoid placing it beside the stove when it's in use. Excess heat accelerates spoilage and can shift the feeling from nourishing to overheated and tense. Stay clear of areas near trash bins, which bring in an association of decay and discard. You want your fruit surrounded by clean, open space that feels cared for. Clutter is another quiet thief of good energy. A gorgeous fruit bowl half buried under unopened mail, loose change, and yesterday's receipts doesn't invite wealth. It signals chaos. Even if the fruit is fresh, the surrounding mess competes for attention and sends mixed signals about your priorities. Give your fruit its own space, free of distractions, so it can do its job as a focal point of abundance. Then there are the decorative choices that work against you without meaning to. Dried flowers, for example, may seem pretty, but they carry the energy of something finished, past its prime. In the same way, thorny plants add a subtle note of defensiveness and discomfort, qualities you don't want near a symbol of welcome and plenty. If you want greenery alongside your fruit, choose fresh flowers or soft-leaved plants that echo the vitality you're cultivating. Even the bowl itself can be a problem if chosen carelessly. Metal bowls, especially those with sharp edges or an industrial look, can introduce a sense of coldness and separation, cutting into the warmth you want. Opt instead for materials that feel grounded and human: wood, ceramic, woven textures. They hold the softness and stability that supports an atmosphere of comfort and richness. Finally, don't overlook the lighting. Fruit in a dark, shadowy corner loses its vibrancy quickly. Worse, it sends a visual message of abundance being hidden away, unseen. Gentle, natural light not only keeps the fruit looking fresh, but also reinforces the idea that prosperity here is out in the open, available, and meant to be enjoyed. Avoid spots with harsh artificial lighting, which can make colors look unnatural and less appealing. Every one of these don'ts may seem small on its own, but together they create the difference between a fruit display that quietly strengthens the wealth and harmony in your home, and one that fades into the background, or worse, works against you. Paying attention to what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to do. Because when you protect the symbols of abundance in your kitchen from these silent energy leaks, you're not just keeping fruit fresh, you're keeping the promise of prosperity alive. Part 5. The Activation Ritual. If you've ever lit a candle to make a room feel warmer or put on music to set the mood for a gathering, you already understand the heart of this step. Intention transforms the ordinary into something powerful. A bowl of fruit in your kitchen can look beautiful and even lift your mood. But when you take a few quiet minutes to consciously activate it, You're telling your home, your family, and yourself that this display isn't just decoration. It's a living reminder of abundance, a beacon for prosperity, and a gentle anchor for harmony. The activation ritual starts before the fruit ever touches the bowl. Choose each piece with care, as if you're handpicking symbols of the life you want to create. Look for freshness, vibrant color, and a texture that feels alive under your fingertips. When you bring it home, resist the urge to simply drop it in place. First, clear a clean space for it, removing any clutter or items that compete for attention. Then, take each fruit in your hands and gently wipe it with a soft cloth. This isn't about polishing for show. It's about removing any dust, residue, or stale energy it may have picked up on its journey. As you do this, keep your thoughts steady on what you want to welcome into your life. More financial ease, more laughter at the dinner table, more time spent feeling grateful instead of stressed. Once the fruit is ready, choose the container that feels right. A woven basket that breathes warmth, a ceramic bowl that holds quiet elegance. Arrange the fruit deliberately, letting the colors and shapes complement each other. Odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, create a sense of movement and openness, a visual story that says there's more to come. As you set each piece down, imagine you're placing not just fruit, but a promise. Now comes the moment that seals your intention. Stand in front of your display, take a slow, deep breath, and let the noise of the day fade into the background. Light a small candle or even an unscented tea light nearby. The flame represents the steady, enduring energy you want in your home. If you prefer, use a stick of lightly scented incense. The rising tendrils of smoke carry your intention into the air, weaving it into the atmosphere of your kitchen. Then, speak your affirmation aloud. Keep it simple, present tense, and personal. This home is abundant. This family is at peace. We have all that we need and more. Repeat it 3 times, letting the words sink in not just to your mind, but to the space around you. If it feels natural, gently turn the bowl or basket clockwise 3 times. This motion is a physical expression of setting things in motion, aligning your display with the natural flow of growth and opportunity. As you do, picture the energy of the fruit radiating outward, into the kitchen, into the rest of the house, into the lives of everyone who passes through. Place the bowl where it belongs, in that chosen spot with good light and clear space. Step back for a moment and really see it. This is no longer just a bowl of produce. It's a focal point, a quiet invitation for good things to come in and stay. The ritual doesn't end here. It's kept alive each time you interact with the fruit. When you take a piece to eat, do it with gratitude. When you replace a piece that's been eaten or has aged, take a moment to renew your affirmation. Small, consistent actions keep the signal strong. Over time, you may notice subtle changes. The kitchen feels calmer, conversations feel easier, decisions about money feel less pressured. These are the ripples of an intention that's been set and kept alive. The activation ritual is not about superstition. It's about creating a habit of mindfulness and care in a space that influences so much of your daily life. By turning a simple arrangement of fruit into a deliberate symbol of prosperity, you're reminding yourself daily that wealth, in all its forms, is something you welcome, nurture, and expect. That belief, reinforced again and again, has a way of showing up in reality. Final, prosperity doesn't arrive with fanfare. It moves quietly, like sunlight finding its way across a room, filling the spaces we've prepared for it. Your kitchen, the room where heat, nourishment, and daily life converge, is more than just a backdrop. It's a living environment that responds to what you give it. The fruits you choose, the way you place them, the care you take in keeping them fresh. These are all small, visible decisions that send a steady signal about the kind of life you're building. Modern research into environmental psychology confirms what many have sensed intuitively. Our surroundings guide our behavior and shape our emotions. A well-tended, beautiful focal point in a space you visit many times a day can lower stress, improve mood, and subtly influence more positive, confident choices. This isn't mystical. It's how our brains respond to color, scent, and visual order. Oranges radiate warmth, apples balance joy with calm, pomegranates hold the promise of multiplied opportunities, grapes suggest a stream of ongoing blessings, bananas offer protection and connection, and peaches soften the air with empathy and ease. Placed intentionally, they do more than please the eye. They become an anchor for the mindset you want to live in. And when that mindset is abundance, generosity, and harmony, the rest of life tends to align with it. The real power of this practice lies in its consistency. You're not making a grand gesture once. You're creating an ongoing conversation between your environment and your intentions. Every time you replace a piece of fruit, every time you glance at the bowl and feel a quiet sense of "we're doing well," you're reinforcing the very conditions that allow prosperity to settle in and stay. In the end, it's not about chasing wealth. It's about cultivating a space where wealth feels at home. And when you do that, prosperity doesn't need an invitation. It's already here, finding its place in the heart of your kitchen, and by extension, in the heart of your life.